But just wondering why you're here today.
Well, Martin's probably the best person to talk because he's been down at the Barton Moss camp quite a lot.
We're both members of the Green Party. We've been attending regularly on the protests ever since November. Obviously, we're against fracking. There's no good economically for the country. We have other things that we can be doing economically, but it's highly dangerous.
What's your number one concern with the fracking industry?
It's the whole process is highly dangerous. One particular example is dealing with the backflow waste, the millions of gallons of water. They couldn't put it through Davy Hue because in the process it will damage the microbes in there that eat all of the sewage. And that's the uranium, alters the DNA, and the radium displaces the calcium, so all the other heavy metals. So what they did is put it into the ship canal, which is just an example of how they will, if they can, take the least cost solution to anything that they want to do. They'll drive costs down.
And what would you propose the answer would be for our energy?
We need to move off, in general, we need to move off fossil fuels. We need to be moving to renewables, non-carbon technologies, and obviously reducing our consumption by better insulation, which still gives us a very good quality of life.
So I'm actually just here from next.
Do you think that this is the start of the tide turning? People are starting to listen to the message that the Anti Frackers are bringing?
Well, there's been a couple of surveys, both with the BBC and the Manchester Evening News, that the message has got through. I'm quite confident the message has got through that fracking is dangerous. Whether this is going to change David Cameron's mind, and I raise questions on his judgment in supporting this industry, I don't know.
Are you the nanas against fracking?
I am one of the nanas.
You're one of the nanas.
But I'm not the woman that actually. That's the woman that actually, you must say, is the responsible for it. She's done such a good job, hasn't she?
She's done a brilliant job.
I think it's fantastic.
How many of you nanas have come today?
Well, I'm one of quite a few, but they're all over the place.
Have you come from locally?
Yeah, Greater Manchester, Mosley, Tameside. That's where I'm from.
And why are you here today? What's your main reason?
Because I'm against fracking. Good grief, everybody's against it.
What's your number one reason for being against fracking?
Because there's so many. But the pollution, the possibility of earthquakes, the fact that they're using lots of land and it should be for wildlife or human beings. They're going deep underground and they're going to use so much water. Tons and tons of water, and then it's going to be left in ponds. They'll be in a grid of 40, so you won't get just one rig. There'll be 40 in something like a 2 or 3 mile radius. It's just dreadful, and it's going to be all over England, and we don't need it.
Do you think public are becoming more aware of it? Do you think the public are becoming more aware of fracking?
Yes, I do, definitely. I was on the train the other day and they said, "Where have you been?" I said, "I've been to a Green Party and they're dead against fracking." And he said, "So am I." And he was just an ordinary member, just sitting next to me. Kind of warm your legs, that kind of lad,
Well, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why are you here at the Anti Fracking rally today?
Because I'm part of the Frack Free Greater Manchester.
How long have you been involved with that movement?
Since last summer.
Do you think public awareness of the issue is growing?
It's certainly growing, and that's part of our intention, and we're going to be doing further demonstrations next weekend as well.
What's your number one concern with the fracking issue? What do you think the greatest danger is?
Well, the greatest danger is really contamination of people's water supplies from groundwater that comes up from the fracking well, but also apart from that, the next biggest danger really is the impact on climate change, because it's about fracking and using fossil fuels, which really is not what we should be doing. We should be using renewable products like wind, solar and wave power.
Would that be your number one answer, wind power?
Probably wind power, but also wave power, which is offshore and doesn't impact on people and countryside as much. Some people get upset about wind power and wind turbines. But solar power is particularly useful because people who have solar panels on their houses, as I do, have a lot of control over the power that they use, and they minimise the amount of power they use. And that must be good for the whole country if thousands or millions of people are actually controlling their energy usage.
Big question. Do you think we, the people, can make a difference? Can
Yes.
we tell Number 10 that we're not having this in our country?
We will. We are already doing that, both here in Salford, in Barton Moss, but in Greater Manchester and different places. In Lee, half of Lee has been signed over by the government in Westminster for fracking for the companies if they wish to apply for licences. So we need to oppose this everywhere that we live, across the whole country, particularly in areas of outstanding beauty and where there are large populations, like urban areas here.
Could you tell me why you're here at the Anti Fracking rally in Manchester today, please?
I've been following the protest movement surrounding it and the information about how viable fracking is really as a solution to future energy needs and so on.
What would you say that the answer instead of fracking should be for the UK?
I'd like to see a lot more renewables. We have the technology and it's getting better all the time, so I think that should be the direction of investment, really.
Do you think we, the people, can stop this by having protest rallies like this? Can we tell Number 10 that we're not having this in our country and make our point?
Of course we can make our point, and it's whether we ultimately win or lose, it's important to try anyway, because otherwise, of course, nothing's going to happen if you don't try and change it.
How long have you been involved with the anti-fracking movement?
A few months. I went down to Barton Moss for a protest a couple of months ago just to see what was going on as much as anything.
And are you reaching people to get the message out? Are people becoming more aware, do you think, over the recent months since Barton Moss has been there?
He's collared me.
I think social media is helping a lot. Sharing posts and so on. It does have its uses, absolutely.
It starts a lot of conversations, doesn't it? I mean, if somebody's involved in something and you spot it all over their threads or they're talking about it in the pub, then it sort of makes you think, I should find out more about what this is, find out whether I agree or disagree. But
what is your biggest concern with the fracking? What's your biggest fear?
For me, I'd say the groundwater. It's really difficult to contain anything that gets into the sort of water table. I mean, I know that, I'm a geographer by background, and so I'd be really concerned that hasn't been as adequately assessed, and it might not actually be possible to contain it.
In addition to that side of things, I'm concerned about who stands to benefit financially from the process. The public are being given promises about how councils will benefit, but the figures don't seem to bear that out.
I think I'd believe that when I see it, and I don't see it yet.
We're just wondering why you're here today.
Right. Well, one, it's a gorgeous day, isn't it? And it's nice to be out. No, two, I'm here particularly with the NHS, Keep Our NHS Public, which is an organisation, and I really think there's a connection between the threat to our health from fracking, because they're allowing the air and the water potentially to be poisoned for profit in the same way as they're doing to our NHS. They're allowing our healthcare to be sold off to the private sector for their profit. So we're just means to their profit end. So that's why I'm here, really not for the public, but for more other people who are also concerned about the fracking, to see the connections between the issues.
Why are you here at the anti-fracking rally today?
To stop the fracking.
Why do you think it's bad?
Because it can kill animals and hurt them.
And have you come far today?
Yeah,
How far have you come from?
a long way.
Okay, have a great day, thank you. So you live close to Barton Moss?
I live in Eccles. I do cooking and that, and I make things for the pizzas and all that lot.
So you've been supporting the camp?
I have, yeah, every night, yeah. And I been getting clothes and shoes and hats for all the girls and the women. And I've been going down. They call me the funds. I've been it there.
How long have you been involved with the anti-fracking movement? Is it since Barton Moss camp set up in November?
Well, before that.
Before that. What's your biggest concern about fracking? What do you think the biggest danger is?
Water.
The water. And do you have an answer to fracking? What should we be doing instead?
What should we do instead?
Yeah.
Well, use solar power. Or use the waves or what they're going to do. But I got to say this. I know why it's actually going ahead.
Tell us.
Because Cameron has ploughed millions in investment into fracking. That's why he's released the licence to go and eke it out with no permission. They've released that, and China has got a lot to do with this as well. China's got a lot to do with it, because that's why China is all over the world buying all these minerals. India, all over the place, and it's all there connected to fracking. So that's why France has denied any fracking going on.
Do you think that's what we should do in the UK? Should we have a ban
Should close the gate. Should have done it, yeah, now. Should close the gate completely.
Do you think the public are becoming more aware of the issue?
Well, they are now, because I'm telling everybody, me.
Good for you.
I'm on one-man army.
Good for
That's
you.
why I'm called the Fonz.
Well, have a great day. Thanks for your time.
Thank you as well, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we're here with Martin now. Martin did a meeting in Burnley, did a great speech for us all in Burnley on Monday night, and we meet again. So could you tell us briefly why you're here today?
Well, I'm here to protest, partly against fracking, but more importantly because I want to bring the fracking question into the wider debates around climate change and global warming, and how fracking is going to make the situation environmentally much, much worse. I'm also particularly concerned at the way fracking companies and fracking as an industry is being supported and subsidised and backed by the government at all levels in a way I think is completely counter to any attempt to deal with climate change or reduce carbon emissions or deal with future environmental problems.
What's your number one concern surrounding fracking? What's the biggest fear that you have?
I think it's really difficult to separate out different issues around fracking, because fracking does really have all sorts of problems environmentally, in terms of health, in terms of possible earthquakes and so on. But my biggest problem and my biggest concern is that by moving towards gas from fracking, we are tying our economy even closer to the fossil fuel corporations and making it likely that we will increase emissions rather than reduce emissions of carbon gases.
What would your answer be? If we don't frack, how are we going to get our energy?
I think there's two answers to this. The first is we need to reduce energy, and I think that would require a government national-led programme to insulate homes, to improve and expand public transport, to reduce car use and so on. And the second thing is a massive switch towards renewable energies in all their different forms across the country, whether it's wind turbines on a massive level, tidal and water energy. I think we need to have those two strands coming together, a switch to reducing energy use and a switch to renewable energies. And there's a number of studies from all sorts of different bodies, including government bodies, that say we could satisfy Britain's energy needs through renewable energies.
Obviously, there's a massive demographic, people from all walks of life here today, which is really good to see. Do you think that the message is getting out to the public?
I think we're still at an early stage, and part of the problem, I think, has been the way politicians have argued that fracking is a clean fuel, it's a low carbon fuel, and I think it's been quite a hard issue to get out there and to argue that fracking is actually quite bad for the environment and bad for local communities. I think the people at Barton Moss and the wider campaign around that has started to make that clear in the local media and so on, but there will have to be a lot more work done, and it's clear that there's going to be fracking across the whole country. It's not just the northwest, and there will have to be lots more meetings, lots more publicity, lots more campaigns and lots more protests.
So if people want to get involved, if they couldn't come out and join us in the sunshine today, how can they get involved? Where would you say the next step is?
Well, I think for people in Manchester, it would be great to come along to the Barton Moss camp if you can. You can easily find out through the internet how to do that. And then nationally, there are a whole number of organisations. The campaign that I'm involved in is called the Campaign Against Climate Change, which support local campaigns against fracking and are trying to draw together a more national network. I think the first thing to do is to go onto the internet and to look up the Campaign Against Climate Change or Frack Off, or just Google Barton Moss and see the different groups out there.
Okay, the really big important question, can we, the people, stop this?
Well, the only people who've ever changed anything have been ordinary people historically. It was ordinary men and women standing together that got the right to vote, that have won the right to protest, the right to strike, the women's suffrage movement. And I think really if we look at who else is going to do it in society, it clearly isn't going to be the politicians. Both sides of parliamentary politics seem linked to the fossil fuel corporations and wedded to that system, and I think it will be up to ordinary people standing, campaigning, protesting to make a difference.
John, you've clearly been here for some time now. How are your arms feeling?
My arm's quite tired, but it's a well worth cause.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
The water and everything.
Looks like we're mobilising. It's all looks like it can go.
Okay, so the match will start from this side. System. Are you tripping up on anything? I'm not sure with you. Don't let anybody push you. Do it at your own pace. Enjoy the nice, lovely sunny stroll.
Just wondering why you've joined the anti-fracking rally today. What's your biggest fear regarding fracking?
Well, my biggest fear is climate change. But there are so many of them. I mean, probably close behind that, there's the fact that it's going to poison our water supply. Also, people forget as well, there's an awful lot of air pollution connected with fracking. They're reporting a lot of that in America. There's also the earthquakes. There's also the fact that it actually prevents us from putting money into the renewable industry, which is where we need to be going. The government are suggesting that fracking is a good idea because it's going to bring jobs, whereas in fact the amount of jobs that are connected with the renewable industry is about 10 times what it is in fracking. So. But basically, we have to get away from the idea that we've got to keep burning fossil fuels. There are now a great many investigations into climate change which say that we have to. In fact, the most extreme one I've read says that 80% of the fossil fuels that we already know about, never mind the stuff we don't know about that we haven't tested for with fracking. 80% of what we already know about will have to stay in the ground if we are to avoid the above 2 degree increase in global temperature that if it happens, the climate scientists suspect will trigger the runaway climate change and all bets will be off. So never mind trying to find new fossil fuels, we can't burn the ones we already know about. We have to invest in renewables.
So big question, can we, the people, have we got the power? Can we stop this happening in our country?
Well, we're gonna, if we are going to leave a world which is fit for our children and grandchildren and all those beyond to live in, we have to. And I've already heard some encouraging things here today and at the meeting on Monday, which suggests that the anti-fracking campaigns are already having an effect. So it is quite possible that we can change this, yes.
Brilliant. And what should people do next? If they can't be here today with these thousands of people on this march, where should they go and have a look to join their local group?
Well, no doubt there are plenty of websites. I mean, around here there's the Residents Against Filed Fracking. But there are many others. We're starting one up at the moment in East Lancashire, which is what the meeting was about on Monday, and I expect there are going to be many more. Just look on the website. You could, yeah, I mean that's probably the best thing I can think of.
Okay, great. Have a good day.
All right, thank you. All right.
Why have you come to the anti-fracking rally today in Manchester?
To make a point, to let Manchester know, to wake the people of Manchester up, and to make a point that we're not having this.
Do you think people are waking up to what's going on in their own communities?
Big time, big time.
Do you think we can make a difference and stop it?
Absolutely. We as I said at Burnley, We chased them out of Lancashire once. We knew they were coming back, but they should have had 20 operational wells. They haven't got any. And that was the work of a small group of people. 20 or 30 people achieved that. We've now got the whole country. 73% of Manchester are against fracking. So Manchester City Council needs to sit up and listen.
Are you pleased with today's turnout?
I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Mother Nature's certainly smiled down on us all with the sunshine, hasn't she?
Yes, she did.
What's your biggest fear with the fracking issue? What do you think the biggest danger is to us?
Oh, how long have you got? The biggest danger is pollution. The only thing that's protecting us against well leakage is about a couple of inches of cement. And you've only got to look at the pointing on your house. Cement doesn't last forever. 6 to 7% of wells fail on installation. Another 50% fail within 10 to 15 years, and they all fail in time. Which that 2 inches of cement is all that's stopping all that nasty stuff from 10,000 feet down coming to the surface where it doesn't belong. It does not belong in the human environment, and we're not having it in the human environment.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. Have a brilliant day. Thank you. So can you tell us why you're here today?
I'm here to protest against fracking and other methods such as underground coal gasification.
What do you think the biggest danger to us is?
The biggest danger to us is that we're going to pollute the earth and the sea. In the northeast, the underground coal gasification is going to go all from the whole coastline from Berwick down to Middlesbrough, which is somewhere in the region of 500 miles of coastline is going to be decimated.
What do you think the alternative is to fracking for our energy?
There are hundreds of alternatives in such things as wind, tidal power, etc. And the government is not prepared to put enough money into that to investigate how that can be done better.
Obviously we've got a huge amount of turnout of people today, which is great. Do you think that we can make a difference? Can we have this stopped on our country?
Of course we can. I mean, in the northeast, there are 25,000 people signed a petition against fracking down the coast. So there's a whole...
How can we wake people up to what's going on their own doorstep?
I think most people are woken up to it. I think the problem is getting people to act on it and to waken up the sleepy, lazy politicians.
Hi, are you happy to speak to me? I'm called Emma. I've come down from Burnley with the Anti Fracking people from Burnley. Cool. Obviously seen loads of you on the live feeds from Barton Moss. Yeah. Are you happy with today's turnout?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic with it. I think it's brilliant. Obviously, the other day, 73% of Manchester said they didn't want fracking on their doorstep, and this is the physical manifestation of that. It's amazing, you know. You see people here peacefully protesting, sitting down in a road, and that's the nature of this campaign. It's about non-violent, peaceful, direct action, and it's coming to practically every corner of the country that fracking does. So
you think people are waking up to this?
Definitely. I think you look at this time last year, how many people knew about fracking. Would we ever got this amount of people out for an anti-fracking demo? I think the key to success with this campaign is going to be how quickly and how effectively we can spread the message and get the message out there. And that's starting to happen. Communities are starting to organise and starting to unite. So I'm just completely overwhelmed. I'm really proud to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with this resilient.
I want to sit down with these guys.
Yeah,
actually.
so do I. Yeah.
So have you got a guesstimate of how many people have turned out today?
Not yet now. I think we're going to do the count up when we get down to the next rally point. But it seems like definitely I'd say a couple thousand.
And how do you think the message has been taken out to the people to wake them up?
every single way that we possibly can. It's being done within the community through just word of mouth and local residents talking to their friends and families and loved ones. It's been done through social media, through the Twitters, the Facebooks. It's been done through the actions that are taken daily on Barton Moss Lane, and just every single way we can. We hold talks, workshops, discussions, film screenings, everything we can do to kind of spread the message throughout the community.
So if there's anybody sitting on the fence about fracking, what would you say to them? What would you sum it up briefly to somebody who hasn't heard about it or is sitting on the fence?
Briefly, I'd say to anybody sitting on the fence, do your own research, figure it out for yourself. It's really important that you do your own research and don't take the industry's word for gospel. The industry has been proven to lie in America, it's been proven to lie in Canada. The industry doesn't work how it claims it does. So do your own research, find out what's happened in Pennsylvania, in Texas, in Australia. Find out about these places that have already gone through this experience, that have already entertained the idea of fracking and are now suffering the consequences. Just research the people that have been harmed by the industry.
So do you think we, the people, have got the power, and can we make the difference and have this stopped?
Most definitely. I believe the power has always lied with the people, and it's only a matter of time until we grasp that and take it back for us and use that to control and decide what happens in our communities, because there are communities and they don't belong to central government and they don't belong to private corporations.
Okay, thanks for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you.
I don't know what you've been told. I don't know what you've been told. Fresh water is worth more than gold. Fresh water is worth more than gold. Leave the fracking shale alone. Leave the fracking shale alone. Don't want to live in an earthquake zone. Don't want to live in an earthquake zone. Pollute the water, foul the air. Pollute the water, foul the air. Pretend that we are wrong to care. Pretend that we are wrong to care. Neo-Nazis push and shove. Neo-Nazis push and shove. Then crusty hippies sing one load. Crusty hippies sing one load.
Where have you come from today?
I've come from Earlham, which is right next to Barton Moss. So we're right in the middle of it, basically, what's going on in the northwest.
Have you been involved with the anti-fracking movement since it started?
I'm supportive of it. I'm not staying at the camp because I'm a local resident. Obviously I've got commitments with families, but very supportive of it. And the more I look into it, the more dangerous I'm finding out that it is to the future generations, basically.
What's your number one concern with fracking?
Air and water. It's what you need to survive, basically. It's what you need to survive, air and water. And I've got 4 children. I'm just looking out for the future generations, basically. The problem we've got is it's a risk, and it's a risk that I'm not willing to take. You've got to be proactive rather than reactive. Too late in 5 years' time when they've got all pollution in water, polluted air. It's the health of our children growing up. That's the most important thing for me.
Okay, can you tell me why you're here today, please?
Yeah, because I want to stop fracking worldwide. I also live about a mile away from Barton Moss. I've got 4 grandchildren, so it's important to me that I try and do all I can to get the...
So you're a local protester?
Yeah, I'm a local, Sorry, no, I'm not on the camp. I'm a local to the area.
What is your biggest fear about fracking?
What it's going to do to the water, the land, the wildlife. Yeah.
Do you think after today's turnout we can stop this?
Well,
definitely yes.
Yes, of course we can stop it. Yeah, power to the people.
Hi, can you tell me why you're here today, please?
I think people have got a right to live in freedom and make their own informed choices, and that isn't happening.
Do you have any worries about fracking? What's your main concern?
That the water won't be clean. I don't think the water's clean already, but I think it'll be much impaired by what they're planning to do.
Have you been surprised by the numbers of people turned out today?
No. I think many people are worried about what's going on, and I'm here. I'm walking for my grandchildren's future.
Whoa!
Yeah. Toxic chemicals pumped into the ground.
I don't want no want toxic with my system. I want to clear. I want nice water.
Hi, why are you here today?
Come on.
What's your biggest concern with fracking?
Well, I'm a farmer. I have spring water that feeds all my farm stock, and it feeds farms below. And then it goes into a fishing river. Now, we're not quite on the licensed area, we're half a mile away.
Right.
But next, they're going to extend the area, and who knows where these springs come from and where the water will go to. And these people are putting poison into the ground.
Are you
So while they're putting poison in, they're also stirring the rocks down below and bringing poisons up. So it's not just down, it's up as well.
Are you happy with the turnout and the support for the anti-fracking movement?
I haven't really seen the end of it yet, so I've no idea. I'm sorry.
Do you think we can stop this between us?
Next election, if everybody asks their their prospective candidates, where do you stand on this issue? That will be the decider.
If there's anybody sitting on the fence about fracking or they've not heard about it,
They
what would you say?
They need to go to a meeting, learn or read on the internet, get themselves some research done, and you will find that when people have read and thought, they become really quite startled. You can tell them when they've got the message, you can tell. Their eyes look, what? They look completely stunned.
Well,
what can we do, they say. So all you can do is get out here and make towns wake up, make the community wake up.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Thank you. Hi, can you tell me why you're here today?
I'm against fracking.
What's your number one concern about it?
That it's going to totally wreck the water table and pollute the water table. And the people who live in the nearby region are going to have dirty water. That's one concern. I mean, it's an environmental concern, but it's all from the point of view of the actual mechanics of getting the gas out of the ground is a concern. But it's also a concern because it means more energy from carbon-rich fuels. And I don't think that's the way to go. I think we should be going to sustainable energy, and it's not sustainable.
Do you think with a big turnout like today, we can send a message to the people that need to listen to what we've got to say?
Oh, I hope so. Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.